Ask any expectant parent and they'll probably have several parenting books. Everything from what to expect while expecting to what goes on during those first years. New parents share a lot during that time. Then things change.
When parents have young kids, and I'm talking like 2 and 3, and they're taking them to the playground all the time, and they're sitting on the park bench, and there are other kids there, and it's just natural for other parents to get in a conversation about what's going on in their house. And parents will talk to total strangers on a park bench about very personal things that are happening to them in their home. But once their kids are older, those park bench opportunities aren't available anymore.
So Arlington, Virginia's READY Coalition decided to put a new spin on an old idea and create ways for dads and moms to interact.
Our hope is that by creating the time and space for parents to come together and talk with each other, that they'll feel more empowered.
And I've talked to her about that, some of this, and also, the whole Facebook explosion where, stuff gets said, and, that's one of the dangers I think we all are starting to recognize.
And the parent chats were born, kind of a play date for grown-ups.
We get 1 or 2 people to offer to host their friends coming into their homes, and it usually looks like a dessert party or something like that. And folks come into their homes and they just talk about the issues that they're facing in raising teenagers, what the risks are, what are things that work, what are things that haven't worked, and they talk about it.
It really just came down to emailing some of the folks that were in this directory. I even sat down with my son and I said, so who are the kids that you find yourself hanging out with the most? And that's the list I started with first. I called some folks, I emailed some, and kind of explained that I just really wanted us to get together to talk.
There's no set program, just someone from the coalition present to provide resources if necessary.
There's a facilitator, and using the term very loosely, because we want this to be a conversation, a sharing of ideas. There's no agenda, there is no expectation that the group of people are going to come to a conclusion that here's the right way, here's the wrong way, because a lot of these families have never talked about this before with each other.
Nobody is an authority, everyone is an equal.
We try and present all information and try to get a conversation going. We don't want to come across as the experts because we believe that the parents, with their experience with their children, they're the experts of their kids. And so we're really encouraging them to talk with each other and not look to us as the experts.
The conversation between parents seems to flow naturally.
It's not that hard to get a group of 20 women talking. It's really not. So I found people to be highly engaged at both of these chats that I was at, and it seemed to really get people talking.
That talking can help ease the strain of future conversations with teenagers.
I think some of it is parents knowing that they're not the only one, because the kids will say, oh, no one else's parent calls, no one else's parents going into the house. But if you talk to each other and you realize, oh yeah, other people are doing that, and that's okay, and that becomes sort of the norm and the expectation, it helps. It's sort of like, peer pressure for parents, where we're supporting each other in a positive way to say, okay, this is the way we're all going to, the expectations we're going to have for our kids.
The chats also help moms and dads realize they're not alone.
You get to see which parents are kind of on the same page as you are, and you also get to see which parents aren't. It's a perfect opportunity to bounce ideas off of each other and to see how they handle situations, and they give you lots of tips on things that you can use as well with your child.
The benefits are great, and the cost is low.
It costs us nothing, maybe a little bit of staff time, but actually we're using a lot of volunteers, and so it costs us nothing. The hosts actually take up the cost when they're making food, or everybody takes up the cost when they bring potluck, but it's a living room. It costs us nothing.
The idea is to spread the word by having one parent host and invite his or her friends, and one of those friends decides to host and invite friends, and so on and so on. Even though it is beneficial, it isn't too efficient. So the chats are not the only thing the READY Coalition does to reach parents.
I think it's in addition to the town hall meetings, and everybody is disappointed when you work hard to set up a big event or even a small event and nobody comes. But we see a lot of value in doing that, setting them up. But what we wanted to make sure happened was that parents connected to one another, and the town hall meeting isn't a place to do that usually. So it's kind of in addition to, it's not that we thought those other things weren't working, despite the fact of being disappointed when people don't come. It's in addition to.
A group of people sitting in a room talking. An easy concept with good results.
It is a really simple idea, and I don't know that we necessarily need to look for, big ideas from the federal government to help with these issues. Sometimes it could be as simple as talking to one another, listening to one another, and knowing that we're there to support one another, especially among parents.